Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we will be giving our review for The Black Phone, starring Ethan Hawke, among other familiar faces. This is from Blumhouse, based off of a Joe Hill book.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah, based off of Joe Hill's book. Um, this is a movie I've been wanting to see since it was announced. We put it off for a while. Came to streaming, still hadn't watched it, but we had ordered our physical copy, just because we're like that. That's how we usually go ahead and order the physical copy. That's just how we used to do before we really got the streaming services. But had the physical copy, but we went ahead and watched it for the first time on streaming, finally, and do you want to give your take on it first? Me start? So basically, the gist of this movie is you have the grabber, played by Ethan Hawke, who's kidnapping these kids, and you see him kidnap at least a couple. Well, you don't see him, but they imply that he kidnaps at least two. Yeah. But then our main kid gets kidnapped, and he has to find his way out. I personally enjoyed this one. I thought that Ethan Hawke gave a great performance. I do wish we didn't see his face as much in this. I thought that really could have worked better at keeping his character kind of secretive, because you never really get to understand why he's doing the grabber. Being the grabber, he just is kind of being the grabber. You never really find out a rhyme or reason to it. So, for me, when you're just giving somebody no motive, they're just doing it. I would rather them not have shown his face as much. Especially, I didn't see the point of why show us his face one scene, or half of his face one scene, and then cover it up the next. Yeah. So yeah. So I didn't quite understand that. That was one of my issues with it. The only other issue I had with it is the phone. The phone he was calling off of, it would do this almost like breathing or something, where it would expand and then go back to the normal.
It didn't really give good explanations to.
It didn't really say why it was doing that. So that kind of bothered me, because it did look pretty bad CGI wise when they did it. But outside of those two things, I didn't really hate this movie. I actually enjoyed it a lot. Now, there's not a lot to it. It's a pretty simple storyline. You have a kid that gets kidnapped, and he has to try to find his way out. He's getting these phone calls from the kids that have been killed before him. One of them being his best friend. Yeah. And it's just him trying to escape.
But even then, there's not much to it.
Yeah.
He's sort of on the phone a lot of the time.
And so it's pretty simple storyline. You have his sister who can basically see the future in a way. It's not like how they do sometimes, where people just kind of stop and stare off into nothing. Hers is more dreams. So she sees these pictures or the scenery or whatever in her dreams, and they just keep coming true. So the cops
start helping, going to her for help.
Yeah, the cops go to her for help. And she's actually the one that leads them to the grabber at the end of the movie. Yeah, technically. I do like the fact that they had the grabber having two different houses. They had the house where he kept them imprisoned, and then you had the house there. You had the house right across the street where they were burying the bodies.
And I
So
like
the
how it was
house,
close too, so it was easy for him to, instead of
yeah,
wondering how he got from one place to another,
and yeah, that was
because that would have been an issue.
yeah. So that was really good touch. When the girl leads them though to the house, it's actually the house where the bodies are at, and not the house where her brother is
But
at.
they find the bodies while the boy's coming out
Yeah,
of the other house, and then they run over to him.
yeah. They find it when he's coming out of the house. They, you know, he does escape. He ends up killing the grabber, um, and um, but what I thought was another interesting concept in this was he actually lived with someone. It was his brother, played by, I can't think of his name, but they
From
played in
Sinister.
Sinister together.
And
But
he had no clue until the very end, and then he was like, "Oh crap, man died." So.
yeah, he was sitting here the whole movie. He had this big board up and like trying to figure out who the grabber is to save the kids.
Where the kids were kidnapped.
Yeah, then he finally realized, after snorting some cocaine, that it's his house. And so he gets up and goes to the basement and finds the kid. And instead of just getting the kid and going, he runs his mouth a little too long and ends up getting, Ethan Hawke ends up killing him. But like I said, you know, the kid ends up killing the grabber and escapes and reunited with his family. But yeah, I thought, like I said, Ethan Hawke was great. I thought the kid's performance was fine. I thought when he had the crying scene,
that was bad.
That was a little bad. I think that needed a little more work.
But I don't think he's been in a whole lot either.
I don't know. I've never noticed him. That might have been his first movie. I don't know. But other than that, all the acting was really well done. Was really well. The little girl did great. The girl that played his sister did great. Cinematography wise, I thought it was perfectly fine. I thought they did great with the look of the basement that they kept him in. Like I said, other than some kind of iffy CGI at times with the phone and stuff, I thought everything else was fine. I didn't mind the simplicity of the story. You know, it worked for me, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. It's one I'm assuming will probably stay in my collection because she didn't really care for it. Mostly because of the simplicity of the storyline, that there wasn't really much happening. Well, I'm just saying.
That's part of it.
I'm getting to that part. But also because, you know, it does have sort of a trigger warning effect to it, because you do get the main kid and his sister, their father is a drunk and is abusive. Nothing. Yeah, it's mostly him beating them with the belt and stuff. So if you are sensitive to that because you grew up in a family household like that, then it may trigger some bad memories and stuff. So you may want to avoid this movie because of that.
And especially with it being like at the beginning of the movie or towards the first quarter to half of the movie, it sort of put me in that particular bad mood, and then it didn't work.
Yeah, so I think you gave it, what, 2 out of 5? I think I've seen on Letterboxd. Yeah, 2 out of 5 from her. So definitely not one that she cared for. But
and I was excited for it too. It really sucks.
Hopefully, for me it was a solid.
And it is
somewhat
based in the
horror.
70s, if no one knows.
Yeah, based in the 70s, late 70s, I think.
I thought it was more like today. I was surprised when it said
70s. But yeah, definitely one to check out if it sounds like it's up your alley if you've not seen it yet. But one that will stay in my collection. And definitely, I would say one of the best horror movies for this year, but
Scream.
it's technically 2021, so even though we're just not watching it this year. So, but yeah, I believe that's everything. Is there anything else you want to say about it? No?
It's not one I'm going to let Addison watch because she's been wanting to watch it. Not the stuff that's in it. I'm not letting her watch it.
I don't know if it would. I don't know if it would affect her because she hasn't dealt with that.
No,
but I don't know.
I don't think she would need to watch it.
But so that's everything for our review for the Black Phone. So please comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified for our videos, and we'll see you all in the next one.